Hello and welcome to Moral Side of the News, our weekly discussion of today's top local, national, and world stories from a moral, ethical, and religious point of view. I'm Shawn Kaelin with the WHAS Crusade for Children. I'm joined today by a distinguished panel of local religious leaders, Father Bill Hammer, St. Margaret Mary and St. William Catholic Churches, Dr. John Slider, retired pastor, Free Methodist Church, Rabbi Stan Miles, Louisville Melton School, and Reverend Jason Crosby, Center College. We begin this week with the much anticipated presidential debate held in Philadelphia this past Tuesday.
All eyes glued to ABC for the presidential debate. The watch party underway here in Old Louisville, one of multiple Democratic watch parties held by the Jefferson County Democratic Party. After the first 30 minutes,
naturally there are some nerves, but I think those quickly subsided when we saw the first question asked and the first answer provided from Vice President Harris and the first, I guess, non-answer from Donald Trump.
Places where he wants to wiggle away and change the subject, she's holding him to that, and I think she's doing a good job with that.
And at WHAS 11, Chair of the Jefferson County Republican Party, Don Fitzpatrick, watched the debate and came here to give us reaction.
It's hard for me to accept that Vice President Harris is essentially saying that she's not part of some of the current situations that exist and focused on the future, and it's kind of eerily reminding me of hope and change.
While the Republican Party voted to not have a watch party, we stopped by the GOP's meeting in Jeffersontown before the debate.
Looking at a comparison, like what are we doing now compared to how it was when he was president? So I'm confident that he'll pull through with this.
Over in Old Louisville, the house was full, every word scrutinized.
There are some laughs in the background because some of the answers from Donald Trump have been out there, very weird, very strange, and Vice President Harris has been showing a lot of strength, a lot of poise, and a lot of really great policy answers that people are actually looking for.
Meanwhile, Fitzpatrick feels confident for the November election.
One of the things that Donald Trump has always represented is strength. We have to be strong. We can't be the big kid in the schoolyard that won't fight back.
Both candidates are vying for the nation's top position. But what do Jefferson County voters want to see the elected president bring to Kentuckiana?
Vice President Harris, she wants to focus on infrastructure, the economy, making those investments so that the future economy can start to grow and thrive.
We can get those jobs here and keep them in-house in American jobs, then those are the type of things that I would want to see.
Now all eyes will be on the next 8 weeks, leading up to a closely watched election day.
So I tried to find a balanced story for us to watch. I think our news team did a great job with both sides there in the debate. You all got to watch the debate Tuesday night. Your thoughts, a wide variety of topics that they covered. I'll just throw it out there and let y'all go.
I'd love to start. And this is, I don't know, I'm just guessing this is probably the same, the 3-1 that was at the debate as well. Just guessing, and we're all friends. I think just overall, to me, initially it looked like a tie. President Trump did okay. And Vice President Harris probably did as well as, I'm trying to say it positively and not say as well as she could, but I think she did well for her. And so I think it was a tie. Those of us who are listening and have already made up their minds, it probably didn't shake one way or the other. The real target audience were those 1 or 2% in Pennsylvania. And I think, you know, we're just going to have to let that play out a little bit and see. I was concerned, and I'll bring this up, about the objectivity of the moderators and the network. Very concerned about that, especially with the connection of Vice President Harris to the Disney folks, leadership who run, is it ABC was the network?
It is ABC.
Can I say that on here? I do.
We're ABC.
Okay, you're ABC. And I'm not slamming WHAS in any way, but I think, you know, if we were We would call that conflict of interest or perceived conflict if we were having a hearing with the Crusade for Children. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But other than that, I think it was a tie, pretty much.
There are two images that I can't get out of my mind. One, I think, very positive, the other, not so much. When Vice President Harris came in, and the first thing she did was she approached Donald Trump. She introduced herself to Donald Trump, and then she shook his hand. And I thought, what a decent act to do. Later in the debate, when Mr. Trump started talking about pets in Springfield, Ohio, to say that I was dismayed really doesn't tell the story. I was really bothered because I heard something more than pets in Springfield, Ohio. I heard, pardon the pun, dog whistles all over the place. And those dog whistles said to me, this man is not talking about people eating animals. This people is talking about you must hate a person because that person happens to be an immigrant to the United States of America. And that kind of malevolence scares me to death. It's always against the other, and the other is an interchangeable person. But when he started talking about the eating pets, come on, that was beneath the platform of a presidential debate in the United States of America.
Excuse me, Jason. It certainly did draw attention to what's going on, though, in Springfield, Ohio. And did you know the most searched YouTube, the biggest YouTube search in the last couple of days, I won't use the ethnic group, but a certain group eating pets. I mean, that's been searched. There's definitely a concern about Springfield, Ohio, by the people in Springfield, and it did. I'm not saying that was his intent. I'm not going to read my biases into what he said, but it certainly brought to light some of the issues we are facing about this, I'll use your term, immigration issue. I'm sorry, Jason.
No. I think that's a good segue to my initial thoughts related to both of your comments, and that is that one thing that was a recurring theme that I do not think is going to serve former President Trump well is what you're just saying, John, which is reaching for obscure examples. Perhaps there's some validity to it. I'm not entirely sure. Folks in Springfield have said no. President Trump's saying yes. People are going to YouTube. I agree with Stan that underneath that, I think there are dog whistles at play. But the point is grasping as an example of serious problems that perhaps we're dealing with as a country and using these obscure images and examples that may or may not exist. And that wasn't the only example. I mean, the transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison, eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. That's not the world in which I live. Those are not the serious conversations that folks want to engage in. And I think if, to your point, John, earlier about the objective for both candidates being to reach those undecided voters in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, the swing states, that kind of discourse and conversation is not getting traction and is not the kind of way to expand beyond the base that Trump has and will have. But in a tight election that's coming down to very few votes, I did not see him in these instances that we've referenced thus far doing anything to help him reach out to the demographic of voters that he is going to need if he is going to win. One second observation I would quickly throw in, following up on the Jefferson County Republican Party official who talked about needing to demonstrate strength. We don't want to be bullied in the schoolyard. We want to be doing the bullying. I thought it was very evident, and I try to check some of my bias at the door, but Kamala Harris ran circles around Donald Trump. He has been the bully in 2016 and 2020. I won't forget when he leered over Hillary Clinton anytime soon. It was jarring. It changed the way that debates unfold in the United States. I thought what Kamala did consistently throughout the debate was put easy to detect traps in front of President Trump, former President Trump, and every time he took debate, beginning with the comments that she made about his rally size, which then led to the comments about the pets in Springfield, Ohio. Here's the thing about bullies. Once you crack the code and you figure out how to poke at them and needle them in the appropriate way, they lose their effectiveness. That's what I saw watching the debate is a recurring theme all throughout.
Well, for the matter of full disclosure, I did not watch the other debates. I had a commitment that took me a little ways past 9 o'clock. And as I came in and turned the TV on, it was on. At that point, I just opted out. And so I have certainly caught lots of news clips. But part of my choice not to watch it was very intentional, even though I was late arriving. Because I'm not finding this particular format of recent years a helpful format for me to be able to form the opinion that I need to make to pull whatever or push whatever button it is I'm going to push on the election night or day. And for me, it's more helpful to start getting their positions in print and kind of put them side by side. And so that's going to influence me more. But, we talk about, the classic debates and, Lincoln and Douglas and, go back to ones that when people actually did get up and have conversations. And I think the way I observe these present models of debating going on, and it's very public, that they've got handlers, they're prepping, they already have their answers prepped in advance. And so it's not like two people just sitting down and having a genuine discussion with difference of opinions. When I have that with members of my congregation or just wherever I'm in a situation with my own family members, if I'm a discussion of difference of opinions, we're not coming in loaded, to try to destroy or try to take out the other person. It's more of a, let's talk about this. Let's try to figure this out. What do you think? What do you think? And I don't see that happening. And that I find very frustrating with the present structure and formatting that's going on. And so I really wasn't all that excited to watch it, and then it fell that way. But it has been interesting to watch, even as this little news segment we had ahead of time, and as we've alluded to here, I don't think it changed hardly anybody's opinion. The winners were declared before the debate began. The winners were already declared. There is just a very, very thin razor group that is, at least claims to be independent. And I even wonder about that. As to what, they know if they claim to be independent, they're going to get asked more questions. If I claim one party or the other party, then that's going to happen as well. So that was just my observation of it. I don't think it was helpful. It certainly does help, I think, to show how people react under stress and pressure. That is something that does help you to see how people react under stress and pressure of that particular moment. But again, generally speaking, there's a tremendous amount of stress and pressure going on in, say, the White House meeting room. It's still not that one individual. They got their advisors, they've got the other people who are going to try to manage and assist them. And it's really, almost rarely, it's one-on-one, the person making that choice and decision.
It's an interesting perspective too, because more people than I thought I've talked to this week have said the same thing. I didn't watch the debate. People that I thought for sure would watch it, and
And most people turn it off after about the first 30 minutes.
Right.
That's true too.
You know, they got what they wanted to see.
Yeah.
I watched it because of my responsibilities here.
Right, exactly.
I will say that, you know, President Trump's and his supporters, many of them have been having a good time, a humorous time, with memes. Is that how you pronounce it? You're with college kids, you know.
I think that's right.
Memes, yeah.
Pictures of him, you know, rescuing ducks and cats and so on. So I think that's been interesting. I certainly don't want to use the racially loaded term that has been used, but I will say that the reference there has drawn attention to the issues in Springfield, Ohio, a town of 60,000 that has between 50 and 20,000. And their immigrants, how they got there, I'm not going to judge that, but an influx of that many, a quarter to a third of their city population that they're having to support, it has drawn attention to that issue. And Springfield, Ohio is north of Louisville in Kentucky, and southern Indiana that we serve here. I think it's something that we should at least look at. The city manager, of course, said, no, we've not had any reports. A Republican has not. We've not had any reports of pets being eaten. And, you know, if you want to focus on that, that's fine. But he did write a letter to his congressperson saying that they needed help. They were being overwhelmed. And I think that comment, as clumsy as it was by the president, and he got angry. She got under his skin. As clumsy as it was, has drawn attention to the immigration issue.
And Stan, to your point, Phil and I, who's off camera but helps a lot with this show, walked in and we were talking about the debate, and he said right away she shook his hand, and that's what I noticed first thing about the debate. So great comments. Thank you. Thanks for watching and listening on WHS Radio and WHS TV and the iHeart family of stations. We turn now to I-75 in eastern Kentucky, where police have been searching for Joseph Couch since Saturday night, accused of shooting at multiple cars on Interstate 75.
But at this time, there's nothing that we have came up with to say Mr. Couch has left those woods.
It's why Kentucky State Police have added more helicopters in their fourth day searching for I-75 shooting suspect Joseph Couch.
Come on in.
Karen Smith is one volunteer feeding law enforcement on the manhunt. At 125 meals for all 3 meal times, Kentucky Baptist Disaster Relief is serving 375 a day. Volunteers sleep at the church to stay close by and keep working.
You know, I always say if God can hang on that old dirty cross for me, surely I can pack up, sleep on a cot or a air mattress, and work all day for him.
Work, she says, that brings her closer to her faith and hopefully brings KSP closer to Couch. State police still believe he's in the forest because they haven't found evidence otherwise. It's their same reasoning for thinking he's alive.
Nature takes care of itself. I mean, you can see a lot of things from the air, and a lot of times buzzards start to fly. And if your body is decaying out there, that could help in this investigation.
One that's growing day by day, along with the meals behind it. And here on Exit 49, where the shooting began on Saturday, KSP helicopters continue taking off using the 49ers fuel stop business as their home base. That's coming as the sun comes down and the boots on the ground pursuit ends. Another day in Laurel County without having found Couch. I'm Ian Hardwitt for the WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
So that story is a couple days old. It's Thursday when we tape this, day 6 into the search. They still haven't found him as of this time at taping. What do we make of the events of the past week in eastern Kentucky?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go, please.
I'm not going to say this is close to home, but my son went and his wife went to University of Cumberland, which is nearby where all of this is occurring. So I've traveled that that route quite a bit. Don't know it necessarily, but you know, that harkens back to those memories, traveling back and forth, and still for some other reasons I do some traveling there. You know, let's pray to God that that this man is captured or found one way or the other. It's good to see those communities of faith active in supporting the searchers. More power to them.
I agree with you, John. I had a friend who was traveling back to Louisville on I-75 when the shootings occurred. And I asked her, I said, how much longer did this add to your trip? And she said, it took us 3 hours longer than we expected. But what happened was, of course, they were taken off the interstate. And if she had not had a GPS in her car, she would probably still be traveling, because they were on literally one lane unmarked roads to get around, and who knows where Couch with the gun was at that point in time. But when you look at the Daniel Boone National Forest, he could be in, if he is a survivalist, I do not know if that's the case or not, he could be in there for a long, long time.
Well, I forget whether, like I saw the story, I forget whether he was in the National Guard or is in the Reserve, National
Army
Guard.
Reserve.
Yeah, Army Reserve. One of the either ways. He received some training, I'm sure. Certainly received lots of training in how to shoot a gun, you know, the rifle. He received a lot of training in that. But also in terms of survival, how to hide, and that could certainly be part of the training he received. And that's also been sometimes true. The person who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, I mean, he received training, you know, how to use the gun and things like that. And so in his case, you know, and others, one of the initial reactions, this must be a mental illness issue. It's been alluded to, maybe there's some of that there, but I think it is a case where some of what we're experiencing with this multiplication, and even in some of the school settings, is that, you know, people are preparing for this and getting trained to do what they're trying to do, and legally doing it. And legally doing it. I'm not saying it's illegal. The training, of course, it's stuff. But if you have that kind of a mindset, that's the harder part. And we talk about, you know, mental illness. Now, again, maybe that's not the case with him. But I do think I may again stand corrected. I thought I read somewhere that one of his communications beforehand was that he expects to die. That his expectation is he will die. And so while he's in hiding now, he's expecting to be caught or to die by not turning himself in. So you wonder about people's mental state, and that's true about anybody you're walking down on the sidewalk past. You know.
Well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't just mention that he purchased the weapon used in this incident within hours of then carrying out what transpired on Saturday evening. So the quick access to purchase weapons of this caliber and nature, where someone we've all been through 75. We know this exit. I've been to that gas station. You know, in that particular place in particular, you know, it takes something substantial to attempt to do the damage that he was doing. And so it's just a factor and a fact in this particular instance is that quick access is an issue. And then, just to follow up, Father Hammer, in addition to training, there were warning signs. I mean, there was some criminal history or some run-ins with the law. You know, this is on the heels this past weekend when this occurred in Kentucky of what happened in Georgia. Right. Again, there were warning signs. The opportunities to put reasonable measures in place to prevent what is now, fortunately, no one's life was lost at this juncture, And fortunately, there are a lot of great people out there helping, but all the resources and the concern and the worry. It's not just 3 hours delayed on the interstate. I mean, this is day 6 where, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars time that could be spent elsewhere.
I want to join with you, two of us coming from different, let's say, political perspectives, but the same heart, and reasonable laws and I'm searching for the word. However you said it.
I didn't say
reasonableness.
Gun control, so
no, you didn't.
And
a reasonable approach to this. I think maybe you and I just need to get together and get a proposal.
Let's go to Frankfurt.
Yeah. So, but we still don't have any real clue as to this guy's motivation.
Not that I'm aware of.
Some text sent to his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend.
He was going to do it. Yes, he said he was going to do it and it expected to die, but he didn't give any rationale, for it. So far.
Correct.
Yeah.
Please, God, he will be caught and there will be no further loss of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's Thursday again when we tape this. The National Guard. There was a question thrown at the governor about possibly bringing in the National Guard to help with the search, and I think they were going to deploy some aircraft in that and boots on the ground, not necessarily yet, but possibly. So they're trying to up.
That's a rough area.
It is.
I mean, not people, but the terrain. I didn't mean it that way.
It's so massive. I mean, you're going to bring in troops. How many troops can you bring in?
And that's what the governor said. We're going to hold off on that for now, but he didn't rule it out.
I mean, if they could pinpoint a location, but.
Yeah, and you don't know if he's armed. He's considered armed and dangerous. They don't want to put other people in harm's way either. We have about a minute left in the show, but 9/11, the 23rd anniversary, was honored this past Wednesday. We were going to show a story. We don't have time of a man who evacuated the tower from the 76th floor with he's a blind man with his dog that helped him and others rescue out of the building. It was a remarkable story, but your thoughts and on looking back on 9/11, we have just a few seconds left.
We're certainly praying for peace and recognizing what has happened in our country, but also it's still such violence in so many parts of the world, that kind of driven violence towards other people of other nations and other cultures. And so the prayers for peace is what we try to do at our church on that anniversary,
You've been involved with service dogs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are excellent animals. And
About 30 seconds.
I'm still concerned for the people and the families who are suffering because of 9/11, especially those first responders who came in and stayed and relentlessly tried to save people who are now dealing with catastrophic illness. They need to be helped in every possible way. They're the heroes.
Yes. We'll end on that. Well said, Stan. Thank you. Thank you, Father Bill Hammer with St. Margaret Mary with St. William Catholic Church, Reverend Jason Crosby with Center College, Dr. John Slatter, Free Methodist Church, and Rabbi Stan Miles with the Louisville Melton School. Thanks for watching and listening, and have a great week. We'll see you again next week on Moral Side of the News.